They mocked her, laughed at her every step. But in the end, she made the system kneel. What if the woman you thought was a failure was actually sent to see if you were worth following? This isn't just a story about proving yourself. It's about tearing down outdated systems and rebuilding them with quiet strength. Subscribe and turn on notifications to support those who served with no applause, no spotlight, just courage. Let's honor the women who changed everything, even when no one saw them coming. It was 4:30 a.m. at Coronado Beach. Cold mist clung to the sand like a second skin, and the waves crashed just beyond the floodlights. 24 Navy SEAL candidates moved in unison, carrying logs, crawling through sand, pushing their bodies past the limit. No one noticed the woman near the back. She wasn't the fastest, she wasn't the strongest, but she was still there. Every day, every drill, every insult. Her name was Captain Ava LeClaire, a civilian observer, they were told. No one knew that wasn't quite true. 10 years ago, she'd tried out for the same program and had been dismissed halfway through. Not SEAL material, they said. But what no one realized was, she hadn't come back to try again. She'd come back to see who had changed and who hadn't. The Pentagon had sent her quietly with one mission: evaluate the culture inside the Navy's most elite program. Not the performance scores, the people. They wanted to know, was the program still training warriors or just clones of the past? For 2 weeks, Ava lived among them, ate alone, ran behind, got called names that were never written down. "Try yoga instead," one instructor joked. Another asked if she'd gotten lost on her way to the Coast Guard. She never responded. She answered every question during classroom drills correctly, but only just. She shot clean groupings on the range, but never in the bullseye. She swam hard, but never broke a record. Everything about her said mediocre, but her file said otherwise. One night, the instructors whispered about how her underwater performance was unnatural. Drown-proofing, the most feared test, hadn't rattled her. Bound at the wrists and ankles, 2 minutes underwater, not a flinch. "She's just stubborn," they said. The next morning, they handed her withdrawal papers. "No shame," they told her. "This isn't for everyone." She signed it quietly, nodded, and left. Just like that. Or so they thought. The following day, Pentagon officials arrived to watch the program's elite marksmanship demo. Everything was rehearsed, until something unexpected happened. Before the candidates could even take position, a single shot rang out. The instructors froze. Spotters scanned the horizon. On a rocky ridge, nearly 2,200 meters away, well beyond standard sniper range, Ava LeClaire lay prone, one knee steady, finger on the trigger. Her rifle was custom, her scope military grade. And the target she'd hit? A covert camera no one knew was there, planted to monitor the live fire range. As brass hit the dirt, one instructor gasped. Laser etched on the casing. "Evaluation complete." Security scrambled. But orders came in fast. "Stand down." "She's authorized." That afternoon, she returned, not in training gear, in black tactical uniform, no longer a student, now the authority in the room. Instructors who once mocked her now sat and listened as she walked them through a classified report. Blind spots in their evaluations, biases in candidate selection, flaws in their assumptions. "You choose the loudest voice," she told them. "Not the smartest. You reward aggression, not strategy. You say you want elite, but you mean familiar." They had no argument. The final section of her report, a recommendation to update the program, recruit more diversely, evaluate for leadership under stress, not just strength. Introduce scenario-based training rooted in modern warfare. not Cold War nostalgia. 6 months later, the same beach hosted a new group, same waves, same mist. But this time, the drills looked different. Problem-solving drills replaced scream sessions. Candidates worked in smaller, adaptive teams. The instructor leading warm-up, Recruit Calloway, once Ava's biggest skeptic, now her biggest convert. 2 women ran alongside the others. No one laughed. No one whispered. At the top of the hill, Ava stood watching, now part of a rotating oversight team that evaluated special ops programs across the country. Calloway walked up beside her. "They still don't believe me when I tell them who you really are." "Good," she said. "The best ones are the ones they never see coming." As she drove through the base gates that morning, alone, unescorted, uncelebrated, no one knew she had just reshaped the future of special operations. What looked like a quiet exit was actually the beginning of a quiet revolution. Her final report would circulate through the highest levels of the Department of Defense, sparking internal reviews, heated meetings, and policy changes that would never make the evening news. At a quiet ceremony weeks later, far from cameras or medals, Ava met with 3 women, junior officers selected from different branches. Each had been tapped for a new initiative, to rebuild selection programs with her findings as the blueprint. "You're not here to make noise," she told them. "You're here to build something so strong, it doesn't need to scream." One of them, a cyber warfare analyst, would later call Ava the architect of a future no one believed possible. And yet, for all her impact, Ava's name would never be listed. No official commendation, no press release. Her file would remain sealed, her missions unspoken. That was the cost of the role she played, one she never asked for but fully owned. Because real leadership, she believed, wasn't about visibility. It was about responsibility. Back on Coronado Beach, a new class pushed through dawn. Among them, a candidate who'd read about a woman once kicked out of the program, who came back and changed everything. She didn't know Ava's name, but she knew her story. And for some warriors, that's more than enough. If this story moved you, if you believe quiet strength deserves loud respect, subscribe and turn on notifications. Every share helps amplify voices that history tried to ignore. Let's make sure they're heard.